Hi, and welcome to another opportunity to meet the team, the Hyperion Executive Search team. And this week, I'm delighted to be joined by Wolfgang Kick, who is the Managing Director of Hyperion Executive Search.
Hello, David. Nice to be with you. Absolutely. Yeah, good to be with you.
So Wolfgang is, and we'll get around to this, I'm sure. Wolfgang and I had probably my most favourite meeting of all time in a notary's office in Munich some years ago, which we'll touch on. But Wolfgang, to start with, just tell us a little bit about your present role within Hyperion.
Sure. More than happy to do that, David. So I'm coming up to my fifth year with Hyperion. I'm currently leading the European team for Hyperion Executive Search, which is geographically based in the UK and Germany, but covers the whole of Europe in terms of projects, searches, client coverage. And it's a multinational, multilingual, and we cover really all of the search areas in terms of the cleantech space, so solar, wind, mobility, energy storage, smart energy, so the whole remit of specializations.
Talking of multilingual, as your English is very much an Aussie English, so maybe you can explain the Aussie accent a little bit, because again, you've got a great background in search over many years, but perhaps you can just share a little bit of your journey before joining Hyperion.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, life sometimes is about coincidences, or about what you make of them. You force your luck, or whatever you want to call it. So I've got a German business degree by background, and studied also in Ireland for a year. Then started off with PricewaterhouseCoopers in a role that was very much about numbers. I still think I'm not bad with numbers, but sitting in front of an Excel screen for 14 hours a day is not exactly that riveting. And then I went into recruitment and search initially in a what we call more of a volume firm, contingent search, and then went into search and spent 10 years in Australia. So that's why it's a bit of an odd accent, I guess. Sydney is a great city. It's second home. I've got the Aussie passport, so I'm always cheering for the Aussies when they play rugby, the Germans when they play, I call it football. Aussies call it soccer. And then, was in search there and came back to Europe after 10 years there. And through another David, actually my brother-in-law, I met David, and it was fascinated by the idea of doing something in search that might sound a bit corny, but something that is meaningful, and more meaningful than recruiting, for example, for the big mining companies in Australia, which is lucrative and commercially very, very appealing, but it might not be good for our planet to dig coal out of the ground and sell it. Certainly not sustainable. So when I met David, we talked about joining Hyperion, and the other attractive sort of proposition for me was to build something and be sort of an entrepreneur of sorts, and that was great. So joined 5 years ago and never looked back. Got my 5th anniversary in August, and initially started off sort of in Germany, kind of by myself, and then gradually grew the team, and now I'm running the European team in a space that is extremely exciting, and not one day is the same, which is brilliant.
Yeah, it's been quite a whistle-stop journey. And again, just thinking about with your 5th anniversary coming up as we speak, and obviously the company's only just about to turn 9 years old. So you've been with us on a fair chunk of the journey, Wolfgang. And go back to the early days, as you say, because we were doing so much work across in mainland Europe and in Germany and the DACH region in particular, we were delighted to be connected with you to join the organization back then. And obviously we set up the GmbH, a legal entity, which we still have. And that was my first hands-on experience of German efficiency and bureaucracy in the notary's office, which was quite something to experience. That was kind of hard to believe. That was 5 years ago now.
It was, as you said, probably a good example of German efficiency combined with German bureaucracy, and the fact that lawyers run a big part of the German public and corporate lives, and not much happens without lawyers, but sometimes they are they are sort of, maybe not overly commercial, but it was an interesting, very nice office in the center of Munich. I wouldn't mind having that office, but they might not vacate it anytime soon, those lawyers, I'm not sure. So, but it was the start of a journey. And I remember I had just broken my shoulder doing some mountain biking in Italy, and I couldn't shake hands with David and Ross because I had my arm in a sling. So that was a bit awkward, but nevertheless, we got it off the ground and we're still going, so that's good.
So you've been obviously with the company as it scaled, and as you say, initially looking after the German, the DACH region, and now obviously looking after the whole of Europe. What have been some of the things that have you've enjoyed and the things that have challenged you most in the 5 years with the business? Yeah,
so I think clearly the most a lot of enjoyable things, but I guess the most enjoyable was to really develop a client base, to have developed clients, develop a candidate client base that value our value proposition, value our services. So clients and candidates who come back on a multiple repeat basis to work with us, which is fantastic. Learning and developing an expertise in that space was great. Always, I think if you're in search, I wouldn't say it's an altruistic motive, but in getting enjoyment out of placing people in a job that they are excited about, that is not just a career change, but that is let's call it calling for them, is great. And that really is fantastic, and that gives a lot of joy. Challenges clearly were, as any business that scales and that grows, is you wear a lot of hats, and you wear on some days too many hats. But that's the same for every growing business. So and you learn from it, and you I guess develop different skill sets. Initially, it's a lot about delivery and doing everything yourself, and then it becomes more and more about leading a team, developing people, finding the right people, mentoring them, training them, and guiding them, which is where when you come from a world where you've delivered a lot of it yourself, is sometimes a challenge, and sometimes needs some hard lessons, but it's rewarding. It's that's how you grow, and you don't grow by doing the same thing every day, all day, and all throughout your life. So that was probably the biggest challenge, to learn to let go and to let people do their job, because we've got a great team and they're doing a great job. So it's letting people do what they do best is probably the biggest learning process.
Yeah. It's all an evolution, isn't it? And during that time, of course, you've had you've become a father for the first time. You've relocated and got married, and it seems like all these things have been going on whilst you've been with the business. So again, it's been quite a juggle. And jumping back to your mountain biking incident, I remember the cast very well, or the shoulder sling. But you're still pretty much running. Well, not quite doing Ironmans these days, but you have been a triathlete, and you're still actively running even a half marathon recently, just a matter of a week or two ago.
Yeah, true. You try my best. No, I think sport has always been. I'm certainly not by no means overly talented, overly gifted, but I always enjoyed sport. I mean, I played soccer, or football, as you and me call it, not the others, but played football all my life. And then in Australia, I think Australians are either very sporty to the point of being obsessive, or they don't do any sport. My experience, I met a lot of obsessive people and got into triathlon, and remember learning to swim and feeling a bit like shark bait in my early triathlons, where you swim at the back of the pack and you think, if there is a shark, I'm the first one to be
it's a good incentive
bitten,
to learn.
But yeah, exactly. Swim faster, as opposed to all the other people around you. So no, that was good, and I still try to do sport. I mean, we've moved with a little boy. My wife just has accepted a new job last year, so it's been a busy 24 months, I'd say. But again, that's life, and that's great, and it's a journey. So sport is still sort of, I love it. It is sort of what sort of relaxes me, what recharges my batteries as much as I can. But it's good to see. Also good to have colleagues in the team, in the business who are runners and have a bit of a banter. So it's always good. Absolutely.
So what was your time? It was pretty decent for someone who is still suffering from jet lag on the way back from Mexico. Was it a 2-hour half marathon or something like that?
Yeah, just under 2 hours. I ran it with my nephews, and my brother-in-law and my nephew is 20 years younger than me. So trying to keep up with him was a good motivation. And we actually crossed the finish line together, which was good fun. And yeah, it's nice to keep fit. I guess is probably the right word. And to be honest, I've never done a full Ironman triathlon. It's in the back of my mind, back of my head. If ever I find the motivation and the time to train a lot for 12 months, I'll do that. But at the moment, it's more wishful thinking than in a real way.
No, it's good. It's good. And so as we've scaled the team, as you say, and active across Europe, I think it's 15 or so countries have recruited in this year. Which are the challenges for you and the team that you lead that you enjoy most in terms of both the sector, the types of roles, the territories that we're working in? Because we don't tend to take on too many easy searches, but which are the ones that or the types of things that you've really enjoyed either directly leading or leading via the team?
That's true. I think the geography-wise, we cover the whole of Europe, which clearly firstly poses challenges in terms of languages. I mean, in most countries you get by with English, but there are some countries where it does help with the language, so we can usually cover that with internal or external resources. That usually works well. But clearly, if I had a wish list, it would be great to have a team where we spoke all European languages. That would be fantastic. Which is a bit not realistic. But so language is always a challenge. What I enjoy most, I think, is really exciting clients. So whether it's a technology that is really exciting, that is new, or people you've got a special connection with. I mean, we all know in life that there's some people who you get on well or especially well, and you've got their personal connection, and then it is more fun to recruit and to work with those founders or senior management teams where you've got that connection. The other one is clearly exciting business where they've got a breakthrough technology, or whether they've got a really exciting founder story to tell, or whether it's we work a lot more with female or diverse management teams and founding teams. So those are exciting opportunities, and clearly difficult searches are a challenge, but also a big reward. Whether it's difficult in terms of the skill set we're looking for, or whether it's difficult in terms of location, those are the ones that are interesting and most exciting, I guess.
When you close them out, yeah, absolutely. Jumping back to when you joined us, Wolfgang, because like you say, it's 5 years ago. The business was only 4 years old at the time. There was obviously only a few of us in the business, and you'd come from an organization or from a world where you were headhunting into the likes and for the likes of the big consultants, McKinsey's and all these guys. So what was it that I guess drew you to joining a young organization in the sectors that we were operating in and obviously continues to do?
Two reasons. One was really the topic. And I mean, 5 years ago, I mean, I wouldn't say cleantech is now mainstream, far from it, but it's certainly very much more established within the wider economy and our daily lives. But then it was still relatively new. So doing something meaningful that makes this planet better. And I wasn't a father then, but I'm a father now. And maybe we can keep the world in better shape for Vincent than it is now. Mm-hmm. That was one. And two, having the ability to create something. I mean, recruiting for a McKinsey or a Bain or a BCG is intellectually challenging and rewarding, but you still don't really create something new. You don't contribute to something new, something that is a client or an organization that is groundbreakingly new. They're very good organizations with very smart people, but I didn't think it was really innovative. And I think that is a big was a big draw card for me to work with those people. And thirdly, I'm a shareholder in the business. We are partners in business. Being able to, I don't like the word, but those entrepreneur in residence,
yep.
which are people who are entrepreneurs who's backing a big corporate. I'm not sure about the terminology, but different question. But having the ability to build something, not from scratch. Clearly, you had done a fantastic job in creating the brand and establishing it, but creating something was something that I really was looking for and still enjoy to this day.
Yeah, and you've certainly been part of that, as we've more than doubled in size since you joined the organization. And we are, of course, still growing the team. So again, if anybody is interested in the work that we do or joining a search firm with the values that we have, then do reach out to Wolfgang, because right the way across Europe, we're able to bring people into the team. So Wolfgang, great for sharing some of your thoughts. It's great to have you with us, and hopefully the next quarterly we'll have a 5th and a 9th birthday party to celebrate everything.
Yeah. Absolutely, and we will do that, and I'll ask Vince to bring along the rocks that he just tried to show me then.
But that's the joy of having the flexibility as well, because most of us work remotely now, and it's I always think it's quite cool when a child or a cat or a dog suddenly jumps up into a Zoom call and adds a little bit of flavour to the day. Absolutely. Brilliant. Now, thanks very much for having me on the podcast, and looking forward to another, how many ever years it might be. Cheers, Wolfie. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot. Thanks, David.